Thank you for watching another episode of the A Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
If you guys haven't already, please go back and check out our boxing preview for Berchelt versus Valdez. In this podcast, we'll be doing our preview of UFC Fight Night. I believe it's like 19 or something like that. From Vegas, Curtis Blaydes against Derrick Lewis. If you guys haven't already, consider subscribing. Drop a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. It really helps out the podcast. Alex, a little bit of news before we get started with Blaydes Lewis. Leon Edwards has an opponent.
Yeah. Bilal Muhammad steps in. Anybody that doesn't know who Bilal Muhammad is, he's the guy that just fought Diego Lima on the undercard to Gilbert Burns versus Usman. This is a quick turnaround for Bilal Muhammad, but if there's any time to step in on short notice, it's probably now because you know what? He's been in training camp. I feel like he didn't take too much damage in the Diego Lima fight. I felt
hardly any.
Yeah, so I think it's just more you're worried about wear and tear on his body, you know, from a long training camp, from just the fight in general. So, but you know what? I feel like his cardio is there, and you're definitely going to need it against a guy like Leon Edwards. So I'm glad he's stepping up.
And real quick, I mean, we'll do a preview once the fight comes up, but that's March 13th.
I think it's March 20. Is it March 13th? I thought it was March 20th.
Oh, the 20th. Sorry, the 20th.
It's hard to keep date with all these. And there's Adesanya Blackowitz coming up. There's, you know, there's boxing coming up. It's all kinds of stuff going on. Carson Wentz just got traded. I mean, look at the news that's coming out everywhere.
We'll have another podcast on that if you guys want to know our thoughts. I'm an Eagles fan. Alex is a Colts fan. So that trade, I'm trading Wentz to Alex pretty much for peanuts. You know, I think this is a good fight for Bilal Muhammad because Edwards hasn't been in the octagon in such a long time.
Yeah, I think it's been, a year?
Probably
for sure, a year since the pandemic hit.
Yeah, he hasn't fought because he couldn't get out of the UK.
Right.
And then before then, remember, he had problems finding an opponent before then.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really want to fight a guy like Leon Edwards. He's on the come up.
No, so, I mean, you know, it could be a bad thing that Edwards hasn't fought in a while.
Could be.
You know, for some guys, taking time off is a good thing because they let their bodies heal. But,
yeah.
I mean, Leon Edwards is at this point in his career where he could be beating these top guys. He just hasn't been able to get a fight. So, you know, maybe it's a kind of a trap fight for Leon Edwards where Muhammad coming off a nice win can, you know, really make a big splash in the welterweight, right? Welterweight division?
Yeah.
In the welterweight division. All right, so now I think that was all the news for the UFC that I've heard or read. Curtis Blaydes against Derrick Lewis, or Derrick Lewis against Curtis Blaydes, however you want to take it. Big heavyweights, big punchers. Curtis Blaydes has been on fire. I didn't know this, but his only 2 losses in the UFC are to Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. You know what? Curtis Blaydes is a guy that he's a very skilled wrestler. So that's his background. He was a national champion in wrestling in college. Actually got a scholarship to go wrestle for a university in college. So I think it's just been tough luck for Curtis Blaydes. You know, it's Francis Ngannou is a guy that can sleep you in one shot. So unfortunately, that's what happened. You know, we still have yet to see Derrick Lewis fight, you know, a Francis Ngannou. I would like for him to have fought Francis. What?
Derrick Lewis fought Francis Ngannou.
He did?
How could you forget? That was the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
That was the greatest heavyweight fight of all time.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
If you guys haven't, go back and check out.
That was a boring fight.
Yeah, it was. You were supposed to let me finish the line, and then you would say this is boring. But yeah, Derrick Lewis against Francis Ngannou.
It was so boring that I didn't remember
it. Don't bother going back and watching it.
Yeah.
They threw the least amount of punches in like a UFC fight in history of the UFC. It was so bad. But to your point, Curtis Blaydes, I think it's more of when he lost to Ngannou. You know, that first loss, okay, he's trying to make a name for himself. And Ngannou, same thing. He's trying to move up the rankings. That second fight, Blaydes, we can argue, was on the verge of a title shot. Because if I'm not mistaken, Francis Ngannou fought for the title after that Curtis Blaydes fight. So Curtis Blaydes could have had a title shot had he beat Francis Ngannou, or maybe not fought Francis Ngannou and beat somebody else. He could have, fought for a title. It's just unfortunate timing of when he fought Francis Ngannou. But like you said, he's a solid fighter. Really, really big problem in the heavyweight division for any of the top contenders. Him being a top contender himself. Talk to me about Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis is on a 3-fight winning streak. Oh, what can you tell me about Lewis?
Listen, Derrick Lewis is a guy that's just, I feel like he's a marketable guy. He's good on the mic. You know what I mean? Like, I was ESPN on Instagram. They posted a couple clips of him saying, certain things on the mic. Him having to take a dump during his post-fight interviews, taking his trunks off and saying, "My balls is hot." Joe Rogan's classic. Like, Joe Rogan's asking him, "Why'd you take your trunks off?" He says, "My balls is hot." So that was a classic. I mean, nobody's done that. The commission's telling him to put his trunks back on. I mean, this is great. This is what people want to see. So, you know what, Derrick Lewis is. It's unfortunate because Derrick Lewis doesn't really have his, the ground game. I feel like that's where his losses have come. I feel when he fought Daniel Cormier, once Cormier got him to the ground, it was pretty much a done deal. I mean, and also when he beat Volkov, the guy that just fight, or what's his name?
Olenek. He beat Olenek. Alexei
Olenek. No, but before that, he fought that guy that just beat Alistair Overeem. What's his name?
He hasn't fought Alexander Volkov.
Yeah, he has.
Are you sure?
Isn't Alexander Volkov the guy that was beating Derrick Lewis for the entire fight and then got caught in the 5th round and got knocked out?
Maybe I'll have to go back and look that up.
Let me look that up real quick because I'm pretty sure.
Derrick Lewis is coming off a win against Alexei Olenek, who is also on this card. That was his last fight. I believe that was also during the pandemic. But Derrick Lewis, like you said, not a good ground game, but his stand-up game is crazy good, crazy power, and like you said, Curtis Blaydes, great wrestler. He's gonna try to take Derrick Lewis down, and I think try to neutralize some of that power, and by beating him on the ground, because like you said, once Daniel Cormier had him down, Derrick Lewis had no answer for that. His last loss was to Junior Dos Santos when he was stopped. You got it there? You looking it up? Volkov?
Yeah, he did beat Alexander Volkov. But that was before the Daniel Cormier fight.
Oh, okay, that was right. That's the one that set up his title shot.
Yeah, and he was losing that fight he was losing that entire fight, and then he was able to catch Volkov with that straight right hand, knocked him out.
Well, honestly, I think right now Volkov would get the better of both of these guys. Well, I don't know.
He's been
Blaydes,
looking good, but yeah, I mean,
who do you like in this fight between Derrick Lewis and Curtis Blaydes?
You know what? I'm a big fan of freaking Derrick Lewis, man. This guy just, you know what? He's great on the mic, and he's got that power where he doesn't give a crap. He wants to keep the fight standing, and he wants to, he's able to end the fight in one shot. And I'm a big fan of a guy like that. I mean, Curtis Blaydes, we all know, is a great wrestler. He's been getting some heat in the media because, they're saying he's a boring fighter. They're saying that he just, he takes guys down and they don't really want to see, a guy getting taken down. They want to see a stand-up fight between him and Derrick Lewis. I am rooting for Derrick Lewis in this fight. I hope that he can pull it out. I hope that it is I hope it's a good fight, And our laptop is on the fritz, our battery's dying, but luckily we charged it, and we're not gonna have any technical difficulties.
I'm gonna take Curtis Blaydes. I think Curtis Blaydes is just too good. Now, interesting thing with Blaydes, real quick. I think this will be our last point on this fight. Blaydes only has two fights left on his contract. This being one of them. So if he beats Derrick Lewis, the UFC is gonna have to try to renegotiate his contract before giving him a title shot, because him against Derrick Lewis is a top 5 matchup that could easily lead to a title shot.
Right. And
So they're gonna have to renegotiate his contract. If not, he'll probably end up fighting Volkov, and if he wins, he leaves the UFC with a win.
yeah.
Leaving that heavyweight division kind of up in the air. But if he loses, then he probably goes to a different promotion with a loss. So interesting fight here. Anybody on the undercard that you're keeping an eye on?
You know what? It's not really a stacked undercard. I was looking at some
With
of the
names.
I was looking at some of the fights. I mean, we are MMA fans, but we're when you start getting down the list, and it's there's not really too many guys out there. I know Alexei Olenek, who fought Derrick Lewis, obviously is on the card,
and he's a nice underdog.
Yeah, Andrei Arlovsky is on the undercard.
He's a heavy dog against Tom Aspinall. I think Aspinall's going to beat him.
Eddie Wineland, who fought Sugar Sean O'Malley, got knocked out. He's on the undercard. Hopefully he can get a win, but he's an underdog as well. Mm-hmm. And that's about all I really see on here. Not too many big names. I'm sure if you're a hardcore MMA fan, you probably know some of these guys. But as far as me, I do not know.
But we will be watching, because sometimes you get some of these guys who you don't know, but they're trying to make a name for themselves. They could put on some great performances and great fights. Any last comments on UFC Fight Night, or any last predictions?
No, you know what? I hope it's a good fight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. Derrick Lewis has that dynamite in his hands that he can knock you out in one shot. So, and I feel like Alexei Olenek, when he fought Olenek, I feel like Olenek tried to take him down, and it didn't work out for him. So hopefully Derrick Lewis could keep it on the feet and land that good shot, and I'll be rooting for him. Let's go, Black Beast.
Yeah, Derrick Lewis is definitely a fan-friendly fighter, but like I said earlier, I think Curtis Blaydes is going to pull this out via decision. I don't see him stopping Derrick Lewis, because you're putting yourself in harm's way if you're trying to go toe-to-toe with Derrick Lewis. So I see Curtis Blaydes kind of playing it safe. But we'll have our recap of UFC Fight Night out probably on Saturday night, if not Sunday morning. We also have a boxing recap that we'll have to do. So make sure you guys subscribe, and you guys will be notified when the podcasts are out. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. I know it's a short podcast, but not too many fighters on this card, so we only really had Derrick Lewis and Blaydes to talk about. So stay tuned for that Carson Wentz podcast. There's going to be a podcast on Carson Wentz, speaking of the trade. And yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the A Sports Podcast. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.